Extra time, July 8th, 2019. The U.S. are world champions, baby. The women did it. What's one word for how you're feeling this morning? Charlie?
Excited, happy, optimistic.
He took all three.
He does all the words. Charlie, you're a beacon of sunlight, and I love you, man. All right, look, the Gold Cup didn't go quite so well for the U.S. They lost to Mexico, but is all lost, or are we on the right path?
No, we're good. We're good. Everyone stop panicking.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
Everything's good?
I'm feeling
All
all
good?
right. And look, guys, we're going to break some transfer news on this show. You're going to hear it here first. Andrew Wiebe to Olympiacos of Greece.
Whoa, big
Oh.
signing bonus. Just hoping to get paid on time. All right, extra time starts now.
Wait, you said one word?
Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, always smiling, always optimistic. Charlie Davies, what's up, man?
How we doing?
Yeah, because Charlie Davis out here spying on practices. Spygate.
Oh, really? What's going on? Hey, a little too close to home, huh? Dave Gass is back. Vacation,
welcome.
Good? You feeling refreshed?
No, I feel like I wish I was still on vacation.
Yeah.
I feel good, but I wish I was.
Did you pick up a New Mexico United kid or no?
I did not. The store
What
was
are you
closed because I
doing?
was only in town
Was
on
it-
July 4th.
Was it overcast the whole time?
No.
Or
No, it's fantastic.
you didn't pick up a tan or nothing?
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Shots fired, Charlie.
Looks like
I went in pretty dark.
Looks like you went up to Maine or Canada.
Oh,
Like,
a pale side of the table is taking offense right now, Charlie.
pretty dark.
All right. All right. These two have got to use a lot of sunscreen, especially in the,
Yeah.
the top region.
Andrew, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you're the whitest person ever sit at this table.
Yeah, and that's
I have
fine.
to use sunscreen.
I said the pale side of the table. I identified with you, all right? Matt Doyle's here as well. We got a big show for you, talking world champions. The U.S. women delivering. When you talk the talk and you walk the walk, you basically get to do whatever you want to do, and that's what they're doing right now. Entertaining Instagram stories, to say the least. I haven't partied like that in a long time, aka ever. We'll talk about them in just 1 second. The Gold Cup is over. It was, for some, a slog. For me, a joy, and the ending was not as joyful for the U.S. They lose 1-0 to Mexico. Jonah Dos Santos with the goal in the 73rd minute. We will talk about winners and losers on this squad. We'll talk about how they measure up to Mexico, how Gregg Berhalter measured up this summer in his first tournament as an international manager. That's coming up. And, of course, Major League Soccer. The transfer window is about to open. We'll run through some rumors real quick. All the news, the winners, the not winners, because we're not supposed to do losers anymore. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Andrew's
This-
friends.
Yes, Andrew's friends.
This is
Little-
from the parenting guidebook.
It is. I just want to make sure everybody's feelings are considered and we're not scarring anybody long term.
Are you trying to get your son into the same nursery as JJ Redick and his wife?
I'm trying to get my son into wherever it is the Stu Holden's kid goes, because that is like it's like celebrity central.
Yeah, John Legend.
Yeah, and Stu's just like, yeah,
Chrissy
me and
Teigen, John Legend.
Me and John and Chrissy.
Parent-teacher events.
All good. All good. Actually, I don't think
What is the
I
Boston
want that
version
social pressure.
of that?
The Boston version of
Your
that.
kid's in Tom Brady's daycare or what?
No, but we are in the oldest co-ed school in the nursery school in the country.
Wow, and they call it nursery school. That is very New England. extremely New England. Winners, not winners, and also the mailbag coming up. Let's get right to it. U.S. women's national team. World champions, back-to-back, 4 stars. Give it to them. Got the job done. Rolled through Netherlands. No match.
Social with the pinkies up.
Yeah, that's true. All drinking done. Pinkies up in the air from now on.
I just think it's a step too far, guys.
I
to
don't know,
offend
it's just
T,
classless. It's just
to offend
arrogant.
T is just a step too
yeah,
far.
the sensibilities of tea are,
Do you think the people who were writing about that were actually offended, or were they just like, we know if we say that we're offended about this, we're going to get some pages?
Old British people? Yeah, I think they were offended.
Yeah, actually,
I think those people are easily offended.
They don't have they don't have a great track record.
I cannot believe that's the T.
Yeah, a couple hundred years later, still can't get over it, all right?
Boom.
It's just
Gotcha.
tea. It's okay. It can go for a dip. All right. I felt this entire tournament inspired, not just by the U.S. women, by the way, by every single team, every player in this tournament. Dave, you and I watched the opener together, and then I ravaged my ankle, so I was sitting on my couch for the better part of the last month. And
Perfect month to
It was
ravage your
incredible. I would tell you that my fiance does not agree, and I'm currently like racking up to-do list items like constantly because I haven't done much. But this tournament, it made me feel good. And the U.S. winning in the way that they did and becoming part of, I think you said it, Doyle, part of the cultural zeitgeist. Like, they inserted themselves into something bigger and more incredible than soccer often does in this country, to be honest with you. If it ever reaches those heights, it made us all feel something. I'm curious because, all the tactics, all that stuff, honestly doesn't matter anymore. They're champions. What you felt final whistle, during the tournament, during the run, today? Like, what bubbled up inside of you from this tournament?
Pride. I felt pride, instant pride. The way they came together as a team, they were inspiring the women in this country, but also women around the globe about fighting for your dream and, playing in quality stadiums with so many people. This crowd was packed. I wish that the game against France happened in the final and not in the quarterfinal, because that would have been just that much more epic.
The spectacle, yeah.
But how these girls played, I think what impressed me the most was the quality. When I watched them, I said, Tobin Heath is one of the best dribblers I've ever seen, period. Her first touch, her awareness. Like, many women couldn't take it from her. 2-3 girls defending her could not stand a chance at taking the ball off her feet. So that combined with just the tactical awareness, the respect that all the other players across the globe would look at these women as role models, as icons, because everything they're doing here in this country, they're growing the game for the rest of the world. Everyone's watching them as an example, and it was first class.
They're demanding more, and there is more coming in right now. There's a lot more to be done, of course, and you know about the legal situation with U.S. women and the Federation, but sponsorship coming into NWSL in the wake of this run, a league-wide sponsor from Budweiser. You have a deal with ESPN to broadcast some of the games. That's all well and good. What'd you guys feel? What'd you feel?
You want me to go first?
I don't know. Doyle can't go here. Does he feel? Do you
I felt uncomplicated joy for like almost a month straight, which is not a feeling I'm used to. There were times where I wanted the U.S. to play better. I questioned some of the personnel decisions and substitution patterns from Jill Ellis, but that's part of being a fan. What I saw when that team played, it filled me with uncomplicated joy. It's just so nice to see a team that you're rooting for with every fiber of your being go out there and be really, really good, and then hoist a trophy at the end and say, yeah, we absolutely deserve this. We earned this. And I think that was part of it, because so often we talk about teams that play with a chip on their shoulder, and they come in, they say, nobody respects us, nobody gives us a chance. And like, I get it. I totally understand why athletes often have to do that. The U.S. women's national team was never going to be able to play that card. They were never going to be able to go like, nobody's giving us the chance. Nobody respects us. They went out there and they're like, and they
Wait, you don't think that everyone was going to beat them now because they beat Thailand?
Yeah, right. Yeah. They even had that commercial leading into, I don't remember who it was for, but leading into the tournament, they're like, yeah, David versus Goliath. You remember that story because it's the one time David beat Goliath. We're Goliath. We're going to stomp you. And they did. And I loved it.
From the very beginning, it's almost like, you see athletes celebrate and put their hand of the year. From before the tournament, it was almost like, yeah, hand of the year, come on, start your talk, give us some fuel. And then they just used it the entire tournament. They didn't just use it, they embraced it. And that's what I liked.
And they added more.
Yeah,
they added
just
more
to
fuel to
see
the fire.
A group of people, a group of women say, we're the best in the world at this.
Yeah.
And we don't care what you say. And oh, by the way, we're going to be exactly who we are. There's no hiding from it. There's no like obscuring our identities or the way we are approaching this or who we want to be or who we want you to see us as. It's all going to be out there and we're going to deliver. And it was just kind of it felt liberating at times to me, just to see people like, this is our life, we're living it, and it's glorious. I almost dropped the F-bomb there.
And if, like you guys all said, there's also no question about it. Sweden in the group stage, Spain, France, England, and Netherlands. Like, you couldn't have had a harder run to the final, and they took care of business every single game. The final may have been the easiest game they'd played for 3 weeks at that point. So that's impressive just to watch. And, it's rare that you watch greatness. A team win back-to-back World Cups. You look at international soccer, international tournaments, it's one slip here or there. It's a penalty kick you accidentally give up. It's, a slip in the box to give up a goal in the beginning. It's those moments, and then you lose, and it's one-off games. Look at what Germany did in the Men's World Cup last year. Look at what's happened to Brazil over the last 20 years. Like, it's too easy to happen, and it didn't. That's how good they were, that all those moments occurred. You have the penalty kick against England, and you still step up, and you get the save from there. Like, those moments just continue to occur over the course of 2 tournaments. From a soccer point of view, this is the best Women's World Cup I've ever seen. So that's exciting, and You need a ton of investment coming in South America, in Central America, especially in the women's game. You look at a lot of these women and they play college soccer in the U.S. or players come from the United States. They're not producing players at the highest level. You look at for Mexico, arguably a top 10 richest league in the world, and yet on the women's side they've just started over the last 2 years. It's promising, but it's not nearly close enough that they're not in a World Cup, and the U.S. is the best team in the world in their region. Like, that doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be that way. But from a quality of soccer point of view, like, this is a perfect month to lay down on the couch and watch.
Yeah,
and I will say
it was some fantastic
it mattered as well to me that the U.S. saved their best for last, because that performance they put on against a very good Dutch team, I mean, they're the European champions. The U.S. strangled them. The U.S. just absolutely killed them. They balled out. The players who you wanted to step up mostly stepped up, and it was to see that kind of soccer in a final. You don't get that. I thought it was a better, more comprehensive performance than 4 years ago against Japan, and we all remember what happened in that game. So it was like everything culminating with that kind of performance, with hoisting the trophy, Alex Morgan taking another picture with her pinky up,
Well, that's
holding
what I'm
the
saying.
trophy
Like,
is
of understanding
awesome.
the moment, like delivering and also understanding their moment and their opportunity and having fun with it. Be like, this is fun. How is this not fun? We just won our second straight World Cup title. Like, don't get too serious with me right now. Pinky's up. Because we just did this thing, and now we're about to go on basically a big party tour, which is pretty dope.
You remember 2011, Alex Morgan comes off the bench, scores the goal. That was like her breakout moment. Rose Lavelle was awesome in this World Cup.
Yes.
She got the bronze ball. She may have been the second best player in the tournament. Rapinoe was clearly the first.
Oh, Tobin Heath was up there too.
I don't think so. I think Rose Lavelle was on a different level than all those players. But whatever it is, I'm excited to watch the next generation of this team now move forward and watch, Abby Dalcumper be the star in the back and watch Mewis and Haran and Lavelle. But Rose Lavelle can ball.
She can. By the way, she's going to be playing at Audi Field this fall for the Washington Spirit. They got a couple games there. Go support them. Go support your local side. I say this all the time. Just go to soccer games. Like, it's a lot of fun. It doesn't matter what the occasion is. And in this case, NWSL needs our support. So go support it.
Also, if you're in New York, you get to go to a parade on Wednesday.
Yes, you do. I fly out on Wednesday to Greece, and I'm kicking myself.
Oh, poor Wiebe's going on vacation to Greece.
And I'm in Atlanta for the Open Cup game.
What would Megan Rapinoe say about this? Where? They're going to be fine without me. I know that for sure. It's going to be an amazing time. If you're in New York, go check that out. 2023 is going to come sooner than any of us time I've learned.
Yeah, for sure. It rolls fast.
Well, it goes really fast.
You've also got the Olympics next year, which is massive.
Yep, probably got Australia maybe.
Can we qualify for it
TBD?
for the men side?
I don't know.
Like maybe
get 'em both
maybe once.
Let's get a moment like this for the men ever. I think that would die happy at that point.
I would, by the way, because you saw how upset Europeans got with the U.S. women's national.
Oh my God! It would
Imagine if the
be
men.
unbelievable level.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a pipe dream.
Well, you got to imagine, because the men were played in the final too, as you might have known, in the Gold Cup, and they did not win that final. 1-0 Mexico. Jonah Dos Santos in the 73rd minute, a beautiful goal, a beautiful back heel from Raul Jimenez to set it up. This was the 69th meeting between the U.S. and Mexico. It was not nice for the U.S.
Wiebe.
I just didn't land that one in the postgame show last night, and so I just felt that I wanted to go back to it. Mexico, 8 titles, Gold Cup titles. The U.S. have 6. This was the U.S.'s opportunity to even that scoreline. They are not going to even the scoreline in finals against Mexico in the Gold Cup. Mexico is now 5-1 against the U.S. in the deciding game, 2007, Benny Feilhaber. That's the only time the U.S. have beat Mexico in the final. Jonathan David for Canada was the Golden Boot winner in this tournament. Let's just start with the game. What did this loss tell us? How far are the U.S. behind Mexico? Because the conversation today on Twitter, in the group chats, wherever it might be for you and for us, is that Mexico's B team handled the U.S. pretty easily, and it just shows how far we are behind.
I hate those people so much.
You might be able to predict.
That's not the game. That's not the game I saw.
Yeah. So what did you see?
I thought the U.S. were better for the first 30, 35 minutes, and then I thought for about the last hour, Mexico was the better team. And they did it by dominating central midfield. One of the shortcomings, I think, of this particular group, and exacerbated in part by a little bit of, I think, tactical inflexibility, is that we often lose the numbers game in central midfield. And once Tata Martino really figured that out it ended up becoming kind of one-way traffic for about 30 minutes there in the second half. From about the 50th minute to the 80th minute, it was only going in one direction, which was frustrating, but we knew coming into it that was one of the Achilles heels for this U.S. team. But at the same time, if you watched the first half hour especially, you saw a U.S. team that was doing more than just going toe-to-toe with Mexico. They were creating the better chances. And in fact, if you look over the course of the game, if you use expected goals, the U.S., they won the expected goals battle, 1.6 to 1.1. The difference was it was a game of moments, and the Mexican veterans, Jimenez in the box to Jonathan Dos Santos, they recognized the moment sooner than the frankly less experienced U.S. players did. And Michael Bradley saw it unfolding, and he just, I think, lacks the pace to put out fires started by someone else. Someone else's negligence, and that, I mean, Weston McKennie's just not tracking the runner. So all of that sort of culminated. But if you had we were sitting around this table a month ago, and you offered us 15-2 total goals, win the expected goals battle every game, show that we have a consistent pattern of play and know how we want to create chances and do so, lose 1-0 to Mexico in the final in a close, well-played game, I think every single
I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
If you take away all of that and literally just said that you watched the U.S. team play with that level of intensity and confidence that they played with for those opening 45 minutes, you would have taken that.
Yes.
Like, we haven't seen this in 3-4 years. And that's when I think I texted you in the first half and was like, this is awesome, because this felt like what it used to look like. Mm-hmm. Also from the Mexico point of view, like, this is the rivalry you want. And yeah, you had like Matt Miazga making fun of Diego Lainez's height. That wasn't real, and it was a friendly, and there wasn't that energy. There was that, like, it felt like 2007, literally in Chicago, the same game, and it felt like the U.S., the players disliked the Mexico players. They disliked them back. There was the little, Weston McKennie's getting in fights here, left and right. Hector Moreno falls over Josie's back.
By the way, speaking of recognizing the moment, Mexico players are like, no video review at this tournament? Yeah. That is our moment, baby. Yeah. It's a final. Yeah. Here comes the choke. Here comes
old school. It was old school.
Back.
The old school chippy, getting a piece of guys, and kicking them on the heels, like all those extra facets of the game that were once you saw them every game in and out, and now they're gone because of VAR. They brought it back, and I loved it. I felt like, this is exactly what we've been missing. This passion, the ball getting kicked off of Pulisic by Chaka Rodriguez, and Josie runs over and is like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you want to start something? Let's go. I love that. And to be honest, that first 45 minutes, I thought, this is what we've been missing for so long, and we finally have it. Gregg Berhalter pulled it out of these guys and got them to understand and believe in each other, and believe in the crest, believe in the country, understand why you're playing the game and what it means to everyone else, not only to the guys in the locker room or on the field, but to the rest of the country. When they watch you, show what it means to you. Give them that inspiration, and they did. I was a full-on believer watching that first 45. I said, you know what, this team is destined, because it's really just a start, because it is a process. It's learning the new tactics, the new coaching scheme, understanding the different formation, the players within the formation all playing together for the first time, getting a grasp for what real international soccer is, especially against a Mexican side. Now, this is a Mexican side missing all their massive stars,
which I also disagree with.
All right, let's
Irving Lozano, Hector Herrera, Tacatito,
that's 3 players. They're missing 3 starters. The U.S. was missing 3 starters.
If you had just Christian Pulisic off the field, maybe, that's one player.
The U.S. was missing Tyler Adams. They were missing DeAndre Yedlin. They were missing John Anthony Brooks. Like, the U.S. also was missing starters. And if you're going to say Chicharito, well, then Jimenez isn't a starter. If Layun is the guy that you're all talking about, like, okay, that's a fullback who's 31 years old. He's not one for the future. That's just one little piece of that is the conversation
Irving Lozano is
agreed. Chucky is a huge star. I also would argue Tyler Adams is a huge star.
Yeah, I think just on balance, Tyler Adams impacts the U.S. more than Chucky Lozano does for Mexico. Not to say that Tyler Adams is necessarily a better player, and he's clearly an upgrade over Antuna especially. Like, that would have been pretty tough for the U.S.
What
to
if
handle.
you put Carlos Vela, too, on the other side?
Fair, but he's taken himself out of the national team. He
Right.
may not be a national
That's the
team
one
player.
when I hear El Tri fans say that one, I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't
are
know
you
if that,
sure?
like, you're really trying to cherry pick that
Tata's
one,
doesn't have him in the team.
But
Right.
to your point, I would say Mexico still, in terms of the player pool, has more quality than the U.S., but it's not a huge gap. The gap is just about what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, it's not
each
massive,
team,
but
each team was missing 3, 4, maybe 5 really high-level guys who would have helped.
And Mexico is deeper, which hurt the U.S. because we had no subs.
Right.
We had no
Zero.
impact subs because
Zero.
the impact subs were on the starting team.
Christian Roldan in for Jordan Morris.
I actually thought Christian Roldan was good on the wing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, I actually like his movement better on the wing sometimes than I do in central midfield.
Giassi came in for Josie in this match, and then it was Daniel Lovitz in for Tim Ream.
That's
in
the
83rd minute, which was
big head scratcher.
That was it was, and we were all like, Kalen's coming into the room where we're watching the game, and he's like, "Wait, hold on, what? My mind is blown right now. What are we doing, and why? What represents progress for this team? And maybe it's not the substitutes bench. And what do we learn about Gregg Berhalter?
Can I just talk about the subs first before, because I want to give Berhalter his due. I didn't agree with them. I still don't. But this is reported from the scrum. I think I'm going to quote from Sam Stejskel's Twitter feed. He said the idea for bringing on Roldan was to help possession, to help out in central midfield, which makes some sense given
does, yeah.
that we were getting overrun. Zardes for Altidore was about fresh legs. Josie disagreed with that. Josie said after the game, he's like, I don't know why I was subbed out. I felt fresh. I was good to go. Maybe the eye test disagreed with that a little bit. Josie's a competitor. Hopefully next time he plays for the U.S., he plays angry and he plays for 90 minutes.
Well, the thing is, even so, you don't take him off.
I think I agree with you.
You don't take him off just because all it takes is one moment of brilliance from a striker. And we've seen it time and time again throughout the years that a player can be not involved for 85 minutes and then all of a sudden he gets a chance at the 89th minute, whether it's holding up the ball and turning a defender. Josie can create those moments. Yeah. And you take him off knowing that Jossie's only going to give you one way of playing. One lane, up and down, not effective, and you lose a lot when you don't have a guy like Josie. Even if he can't move around as effective as he was, he still is a presence, and he still takes up 2 center backs.
Yep. And then the third one, I agree with all that, by the way. And then the third one, Lovitz was for width. Move the wingers inside, get fullbacks up the flank. If you notice the last 20 minutes of the game, or 10 minutes of the game, however long it was, it kind of turned into a 3-4-3 with Michael dropping back, the 2 center backs splitting wide, and then Lovitz on one side and Cannon on the other side, getting all the way up while the wingers pinched inside. Kind of worked. The U.S. had had probably their best chances in the second half.
But if that was your idea, you should have done it earlier. Because at that
I
point,
agree.
you were going to throw all numbers forward anyway, and those chances
I agree.
came
And
from...
it's the whole thing speaks to we need more talent coming through the ranks. The good thing is that we have it. Our last 2 U20 groups beat Mexico. Our last 3 U20 groups made the World Cup quarterfinals. We've seen some of those guys matriculate into the first team already, and there will be more on the way. So.
I want to read a couple of quotes here just to kind of speak to progress and where this team is going, and also your feeling, Dave, about how we haven't seen this in a long time, the sort of togetherness, the sort of the effort, the energy, the drive. Tim Ream said this, and of course he was in Cuba. He knows that feeling afterwards. After that game, that disaster, he said, we really didn't know where we were going. Quote, there's a system, there's a way we want to play and want to go about things, and there's a culture within the team. The way we've grown together over the last 6 weeks is something that we're going to take forward. Josie Altidore, I've been on this team a long time, and to see that initiative and see the guys eager to play forward and play out of pressure and keep the ball in a game like this, that is progress, in my opinion. What's the biggest bit of progress to hang your hat on if you're the U.S.?
Gregg Berhalter hasn't been coached for very long, and this is the best performance we've seen. That's progress. It's simple as that. The team has gotten better since he took over, but especially in this tournament. They got better as the tournament went along. They were better through the group stage. Curacao was a really bad performance in the knockout stage, and there was a lot of young players. That was their first ever time playing in a big international knockout competition game, and they played better against Jamaica, and they played even better against Mexico. Better opposition, bigger moments, bigger crowds as the team went along. That's progress. That's literally progress. There's nothing else you can do. And if you want to say, for some people, detracting, saying, well, are we better than we were in 2007, like with the game I brought up? I don't know, but we were worse before. So we got to get back to the same before we go
We're obviously
further.
not better because you had established professionals playing in Europe, game in and game out, and the respect level, and they won that game. So obviously they can't be better. But when you talk about where this program was 2 years ago to where it is now you have belief. You have a future to look forward to. You have players who are actually developing, and you look at that U20 squad. A lot of guys have a lot of potential who are on the cusp of playing consistently with their first team in Europe. That pumps me up. The performance yesterday, especially the first 45, when you see Christian and Pulisic when he gets the ball and how dynamic he is with the dribble, on the dribble, off the dribble, his movement, that pumps me up. Guys are proud to wear the jersey now. It's not about what your situation is at the club level, if you're getting enough playing time. When you're there, I finally get it. Like, you look and it feels like a family. These guys have come together, and that's what Gregg Berhalter did. I mean, the first priority for him was having everyone understand that this is something that is special. It does not come often to get a chance to represent your country. And if you do so, make use of it. Appreciate it. Because it can be taken away from you at any moment. So take advantage of this opportunity to come in with your brothers and grow as a group.
Who won the most, speaking of that? Who grabbed that opportunity for you guys? The player that at the end of this tournament, at the end of this summer, can look at themselves and look at their situation going forward and say, yes, sir, I'm in a good spot. Doyle, I'll start with you.
Aaron Long's a starter now. Even when John Anthony Brooks comes back, okay, you move Aaron Long to right center back. He played left center back throughout this tournament. I thought he was consistently our best player throughout the tournament.
Anybody else?
Reggie Cannon wasn't on the roster coming into the tournament, was a starter in the final. I think he's a better player at that position, younger than Nick Lima. And I think Lima's going to be one of the guys now fighting for spots at left back. You're going to bring Yedlin back in, but we've already seen for Gregg Berhalter that he might be a winger in his system and the way he wants to play. I think Reggie Cannon was a winner for that reason, and we're all a winner for that reason because Tyler Adams potentially can play center mid now.
I think Tyler Adams is
Adams
probably a winner, despite the fact that he doesn't play. It just kind of exacerbated the need for his presence, his leadership, his energy in that midfield.
For me, it's Aaron Long as well. His ability to come in and continue to grow. This is a player that I initially saw in 2016, and I thought to myself, he's athletic, he's got a big body, he can cover a lot of ground, but the soccer brain, the soccer IQ is not there. The Aaron Long I saw yesterday, he's well aware of soccer IQ and where he needs to be at certain times and putting out fires, great in the air, athletic, can cover ground. I would expect to see him in Europe after this season. He's made that much progress, and I think a lot of teams in Europe, when you watch him play, his presence and his ability to cover ground and be that presence that you need for a center back, this would be one of the guys at the top of the list.
Some other winners, probably young left backs out there that are saying, hey, that's an open position. That's a hole. Maybe I can be the one to fill it. We will see going forward. Forward also a spot that we maybe need a little bit more depth, and Josh Sargent playing on the regular as well. Before we get out of here, finish up with the Gold Cup, in the U.S. especially, Doyle, I want your starting lineup. It's a must-win game in a dream world in which there are no conflicts, no injuries, no extenuating circumstances. Line it up for me, back to front.
Steffen's obviously the keeper. I think I would go with Reggie Cannon right now over DeAndre Yedlin. I've never trusted DeAndre Yedlin defensively. He just lacks awareness at right back. Even after 4 or 5 years in the Premier League, he's still kind of the same player. So I would go with Reggie Cannon, and then Long, John Anthony Brooks. Maybe Nick Lima at left back, and fair credit to Tim Ream. I thought he played his best game of the tournament against Mexico. Even when they were overloading that side, he still held firm. He was still pretty good, but
he's bad at left back.
We've seen too much of him not being good.
Yeah.
In the central midfield, Tyler Adams is the 6, and then Weston McKennie, who was not good against Mexico, but I still believe in his talent, and I hope that he's going to get 2,000 minutes as a central midfielder for Schalke this year because he needs the reps. You have to track that run. I don't know how you don't track that run. Hopefully he gets chances to succeed with Schalke. McKennie and Paxton Pomykal. Paxton Pomykal, 19 years old, he tracks that run. I have no doubt about it. He would have tracked that run. So those 3 guys in central midfield. Pulisic on the left, Josie up top, Tim Weah on the right. I think that's a young, talented team. I wouldn't be entirely thrilled about taking a team that young to, say, the Azteca and expecting a result. I think it's a team that would take its lumps, but it's a team that could do some absolutely dirty work.
September, that's the next international window for the U.S. Those are likely to be friendlies because that's the start of Nations League qualifying, and Canada and Cuba go back-to-back in that window. Then the U.S. will join in Nations League in October. Cuba, and then Canada. Look, I have one more topic from the Gold Cup. This is always the most fun. I remember back in the day when Giancarlo Gonzalez dominated this thing, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to see him in MLS. And then he came, but for a very short period of time, and immediately got signed to Europe. So who's the player? Other than Eloy Room, you can't take him because Columbus Crew picked up the Curaçao goalkeeper immediately, got their starter. They needed one since Zach Steffen is headed to Europe. Who do you want to see in MLS? And I know where I'm going with this. David Gass, deep cut Dave.
Yeah,
let's go. What do we got? Who are the players you're pulling out?
I could name 14, but I'll just stick to 3. The first one, Steven Saba from Haiti, played in central midfield, former U.S. Youth International, has had a ton of injuries, has worked his career back around. I thought he was phenomenal in this tournament, in possession, and once again, he's an American, so it's not like you have to bring a guy in and use an international spot. My deep cut is Byron Bonilla from Nicaragua, mainly because he just balls out. I don't know that he could actually play in MLS, but I really would love to watch it.
Okay.
And then Keisha Fuller on Costa Rica, who started at right back. They started a lot of veterans in this tournament, but there is that sign of the next generation, which I think Alan Cruz is a part of, Roland Leal as well. And I think Fuller, when you talk about what Gregg Berhalter was trying to do with Tyler Adams, Fuller did it to perfection for Costa Rica. He played a right back, central midfield hybrid, but he pressed high up the field and was able to win the ball on counter presses. He's able to put in decent service when he gets down the outside. I think he's 23 years old, playing currently in Costa Rica. And when you look at fullback in MLS, if you can get a decent player from CONCACAF like Kamar Lawrence, like Michael Murillo, it works out pretty well for you.
Charlie, you're dreaming a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I'm going big.
Byron Bonilla is a big deal.
Okay, your dreams were big. They were just different.
Leandro Bacuna, the center midfielder from Curaçao. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 next month. But what I saw from him this tournament, the ability to go box to box, be impactful, whether it's defending with his tackling, his anticipation, or taking shots, creating opportunities for the Curaçao attackers, I was left impressed. And I thought to myself, if he were to come to MLS, he would make an immediate impact, and he would help out a lot of teams in this league.
He just got signed in January. Cardiff City, of course, they got relegated then. So in the championship right now, decent amount of money paid for him at that time. But maybe he'd like to come back to North America. Maybe some team's willing to splash on him. He was definitely quality in this tournament. Doyle, anybody stick out to you?
On the field, it was the Haitian guys. Of course, I'm going to shout out Andrew Jean-Baptiste, UConn Husky, former Portland Timber.
The only time I see you giddy is when you're shouting out a former
He's
Husky.
so giddy right now.
I mean, he's 27 years old.
Shout out Long Island, Andrew Jean-Baptiste.
Yeah, he's 27 years old. He's American-born. He's American citizen, dual citizen, so he wouldn't take up an international spot. Like, bring this guy back to MLS. Like, he's not obviously going to be the guy who conducts the game from the back, but everybody in this league needs in the prime age, 27-year-old, 6'2", 200-pound center back who could win the ball in the air. And that's what he did the entire tournament. That's what he did. I thought he was really good. Franzi Perot up top, former Colorado Rapids draft pick. They decided to get Joe Mason instead. Probably should have signed Franzi. He had, I think, 8 or 9 goals last year in Belgium. Really good, strong hold-up play. Maybe the most impressive performance overall. I'm going to get his name wrong, but Remco Besentini, the head coach for Curaçao. He's a Dutch Curacao dual national. He's played in the Eredivisie 20 years ago. He's been managing basically ever since then. The way that team came out and played game after game after game, building from the back, having clear ideas of what they wanted to do with the ball, how to move it around, not just for themselves, but to pull whoever they were facing around as well. Like, if you're an MLS team, you got to at least make a call, kick the tires, see if there's maybe he's a good academy fit or something like that. But I like to watch teams that have clear ideas of how they want to play soccer with the ball. Curacao, beyond anyone else in terms of where we thought they would be at and where they were actually at, they blew me away.
Oh, Dave, let's go. High five here. Curacao.
You guys called it.
Who predicted that one?
I really wish you
that
had
one?
said it before you asked for the high five because I don't have high five.
Gotcha. All right, let's get to Major League Soccer.
Also, I picked Josie Altso for Golden Boot winner. That one didn't.
Whoa, down the drain on that one. Look, you're saying that about the head coach of Curacao, and I'm thinking about FC Cincinnati, who, by the way, are trying to hire a head coach, and their general manager is Dutch. So we will see about that one. We'll talk about that in just a second. So the transfer window opens on July 9th in Major League Soccer. So things are going to start happening. They're already happening a little bit. Let's play good idea, bad idea with some of the rumors and or moves. Breaking news right now. Sam Stejskal, the bird dog, is reporting that sources are telling him that Josh Wolf will be the first manager of Austin FC. Good idea, bad idea?
Well, one, I think this was obvious. We all saw it coming. So
I asked you good idea or bad idea, not obvious idea or not a so obvious idea.
Good idea for me.
Okay.
He understands and he knows the league very well. He's been a player. He played on the national team. He's been under Gregg Berhalter. So when it comes to really grasping ideas of how to play and being specific to each position and building up from the back, Josh Wolf is your man. I mean, he's really dedicated. And when you talk about a player who has good relationships with guys as a player and as a coach, and really, talks to players and gets to understand their feelings and how to move forward, Josh Wolf is your guy. Great personality, and he wants to play progressive soccer. So for me, it's a great move because you're getting someone who has the experience, and he's young and he's hungry to succeed.
We'll see if that one goes down. I trust Sam Stejskal on most things. Ali Adnan is staying in Vancouver. Lots of people saying he would not. It's a multi-million-dollar transaction, reportedly. It's a record for a fullback in MLS. He's a DP. Good idea, bad idea?
Do you want your YOLO guy to be a left back, right? Because think about how Clint played. Clint was he'd get on the ball in the final third, YOLO, and sometimes it would come off and it would be amazing, and you could live with that because you're talking about a center forward or a second forward or a winger. Ali Adnan out there shouting YOLO every game, 5 times a game.
I actually want that to be a thing,
as a left back.
Ali he just shouted YOLO. What's about that?
It feels like that. Watch, and you can see because he's entertaining as all hell. You could see, and he makes match-winning plays sometimes going forward. You could see why there's interest in him. I would have a heart attack if I was a Caps fan watching him every week.
And if you're going to spend DP money on a fullback, then he has to be great going forward, and you have to be the best defensive team in the league. Because just the way you construct rosters in Major League Soccer, you can't sign 11 DPs. You have to be smart about it. And so this feels really risky.
They've had not a lot of luck at the other part that most people spend money on, which is goal scoring.
Yeah, I would pick Danny Alves, by the way, if that would be my one.
Oh,
I would go that guy can play fullbacks.
Weren't there some Danny Alves to the Union rumors?
Probably
that in the nether regions.
It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
Danny Alves.
They had Kleber there, Kleberson. So,
yeah. Well, Ilsinho at right wing.
Yeah.
Danny Alves at right back. I'm buying season tickets.
It's a lot of defending.
YOLO.
Yeah.
YOLO. Exactly. How about this one? Brian Ruiz, the MLS. Good idea, bad idea?
He's
For the right number.
He's a quality player. He'll definitely add quality to your side. Not a DP.
Not a DP.
At this
good idea. TAM, short-term deal probably.
Yes.
Not a long-term deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably not a DP slander.
Perfect for the Red Bulls. the Red Bulls need a match winner in attack. They've needed a match winner in attack for 6 years. Someone who can do the lifting that, Bradley Wright Phillips has been left to do it by himself year after year after year in the playoffs. They haven't had that guy to come off the wing and just win the game for you. Brian Ruiz can probably do that. Now, you'd have to hide him a little bit defensively. I don't think he can press the way the Red Bulls want to press.
Although he pressed Costa Rica pressed at the Gold Cup, and he was a part of that.
That's fair.
Yeah,
but I thought they didn't.
Player.
They hid him, sliding him inside.
Yeah,
but I think if you're the Red Bulls, give him the 18-month contract. See if you can. You've given yourselves 2 chances at winning that cup, and we know that's what they care about.
I mean, the beautiful thing is he comes off the bench. I mean, Alex Muil starts.
Alex Muil was kind of awesome yesterday.
I know he was. I'm barely even kidding right now, Charlie. Don't give me that look. How about this? Georgi Mihailovic to Germany. The rumors, I think, Hertha Berlin.
Wait, can I just throw out Ruiz would work on also like 20 other MLS teams?
Yeah.
He's very good at soccer, and there are teams that need players that can create goals.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to tell me DC couldn't use him?
DC
by the way,
Philly couldn't use him. FC Cincinnati.
Yamil Assad to DC United. He apparently just got out of his contract.
Yeah, do it yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently they have interest. We'll see. Georgie to Germany.
It's a good move for him because he's going over to Europe and he'll get tested and pushed and he'll be able to develop hopefully more so now than he is with Chicago Fire, because Chicago Fire is not a great place, I think, for players to really develop and grow at this stage. So I think for the U.S. men's national team, that's great if he's playing, if he's in a good situation. That's the key for him, is finding a place where he's going to play. Don't just go to any German club that's high on your potential, but then you never get an opportunity. He needs to go to a place where the coach is going to say, I'm going to give you every opportunity to succeed. It's on you, but I'm going to give you the chance. As long as he's given the chance and he's got the right mindset, fantastic move.
Good idea or bad idea? Sebastian Giovinco returning Toronto FC.
Good idea?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Bad idea?
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I mean, I just think Toronto needs to go someone younger, someone who's more of a winger. I think they're a better team with a 4-3-3 with Pozuelo, kind of like a 4-2-3-1. You can't play Michael Bradley as a lone 6 anymore, so you got to put someone next to him as well. Giovinco's not that guy. And the other thing with Giovinco is, as great as he is, he's only ever been good when he's been the absolute focal point. He's never been good in a less central role. And I honestly think that Toronto want to diversify that attack a little bit. You don't have that diversity if you're back to a front two with Josie and Giovinco. You don't know how many minutes they're going to be able to play.
But what if you play him on the wing?
He's never been able to play on the wing.
Fair, but at
even
the
when
same
he
time,
was younger, he couldn't play on the wing.
But at the same time, if you put someone behind him that you trust in defensively, like let's say Justin Morrow, and the focus of the defensive team is Alejandro Pozuelo and Josie Altidore, now you've got Giovinco in 1v1 situations, or Giovinco crashing.
He's always
going to
come inside.
He's always going to. Yeah.
Okay, fair. Is there a fullback in Major League Soccer even today that you would take in a 1v1 situation over Sebastian Giovinco? He is going to get his shot every single time he comes inside.
He's just going to offset your tactics. I mean, you're going to have huge holes, and when teams have possession, you're going to be in trouble because he's not going to defend. He's not going to defend whatsoever, to be honest. And when you have Josie, like he said, his health, he's going to need to work. He's always had to work that much harder when Giovinco was on the field because Giovinco's lack of cover on the defensive side. And Pozuelo is going to be asked to do more, and so you're pulling guys out of position. It would not be effective in the long run.
Bad idea, says Charlie. We'll see. Sebastian Giovinco apparently wants to do it. He likes Toronto. Doesn't like Saudi Arabia. That's where he ended up? Yeah. Doesn't appear to like that very much. Let's talk Week 18. Winners, not winners, coming up in just a second. Excuse me. Who are your winners, guys? Who you got?
Am I starting?
Yeah.
I can start.
All right.
Since somebody jumped out. FC Cincinnati. They won. I mean, in the most just basic, obvious sense, they finally got a win. Knocked off Houston.
First win in 8 weeks?
A long time. Dropping like a rock are the Houston Dynamo. You do not want to lose to FC Cincinnati right now. And then what I really want to talk about is how the general manager, Jared Niekamp, on a conference call from the Netherlands, is saying basically that we're just trying to bridge the gap until 2021. We're just trying to get to the West End Stadium. Like, don't have big dreams in the meantime. We'd like to win games, sure, but we'd like to set a foundation, and that foundation will be led by a coach on an 18-month contract that's basically playing for his job long term. He says from 8 candidates, and he says also they had a bunch of big names ask about the job. He's narrowed it down to 1. They're working on that right now. No guarantee that they'll get a deal done, but that's what they want to do. Soccer Twitter, of course, was all about this and like, oh, wow, FC Cincinnati are basically throwing the next year and a half. FC Cincinnati's foundation is so weak that they don't think that they can do anything but this and just bridge the gap. What's going on there? Is this truly a big
I think this was
red flag, or is this more just, hey, I'm a Dutch guy and I'm real straightforward with you. This is the situation we're in. We're gonna have to figure it out. We're not very good.
I think he tried to walk back the word caretaker. I think it's sometimes with De Boer, he's had incidents this year where he hasn't quite chose the right word, which sometimes it's his second language or maybe even his third language. It's probably the same thing with Niekamp. I think what he was trying to say is like, we're looking at an 18-month timeline for a turnaround because they really handicapped themselves with the outflow of allocation money this offseason. They didn't build the roster right. So he was just saying, we understand it's going to take 18 months. And at that point, we're going to do a full reassessment. All the reporting I've seen suggests that whoever gets hired, of course, they are the presumptive manager beyond that. But they have like a timeline for the benchmarks that they want to hit.
But their immediate job is to just like
stop the
reset it.
bleeding.
Yeah,
stop
reset,
the bleeding.
get the foundation
figure
right.
out
3 transfer windows.
Yeah.
Correct some things.
Which
So-
is fine. And
that is direction, by the way. That's direction that they probably didn't. It didn't seem like they had otherwise.
They didn't. And it's literally what I said on the show, I think 2 weeks ago, when I said, all right, we should really not talk about Cincinnati until just before the 2021 season because it's going to take them that long to figure everything out after what they've done.
Promise, Cincinnati fans, we will not talk about you until before the 2021 season. Winner for you, Dave?
The New York Red Bulls. Bradley Wright Phillips back scoring goals. It looked like they were down and out on the road against Atlanta. They love that rivalry. It seems to push them every time they play them. You see that peak going after it as well. Like after that game, they seem to reach another level.
Yeah, didn't Big Red, aptly nicknamed, by the way, get a red after the final whistle?
He did.
Jeff Lorenowitz?
Did he really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, many people didn't. It kind of came out of nowhere. But this was scrappy is a word.
I love this game. Yeah,
It was
fun.
It was fun.
And it's also like national TV, biggest stage you can have. There's a reason you put those two teams out there on that stage, and it lived up to it. It's awesome.
BWP or Brian White as you're starting forward with the Red Bulls, Charlie?
At this stage, it's Brian White. You let him continue to grow and develop. You bring in BWP at times if Brian White's form starts to dip. You bring him in. You take some time on the bench. Regather your thoughts and continue to build on your performances in training. And BWP, let's see how much we can get out of you. But at this point, what a super sub to have right now, BWP. His experience, his leadership, he understands as he's getting older, you can't play as many minutes as you're used to. And so whether that's coming in off the bench consistently or you start a couple games here, a couple games there, but Brian White has really developed over the course of this season. So continue to play him and see how far he can go. And he's getting pushed now. So if your form does drop a little bit, guess what? You're off and BWP's on.
And I do think it said something about Brian White yesterday that he mostly stunk. He had a terrible game, and then he pops up for the goal. That's a striker. No.
Your winner from Week 18, Charlie?
New England Revolution.
You don't say. You don't say.
All right. I've been holding off for a while now. But now you can't deny 7 games unbeaten since the coaching change. They are playing inspired. Bruce Arena gets the best out of each player. Teal Bunbury looks like a new signing. He scored his 50th goal, MLS goal in this game against Colorado.
Like a true Arsenal fan right now.
And when you look at just how the identity of this team, they feel like we're going somewhere. And New England Revolution are talking about investing heavily going into this transfer window. that pumps me up because
Gustavo Bou is the name right now.
Gustavo
From
Bou.
Tijuana, $5 million ish. That's the rumor. I think he had 10 goals and 5 assists maybe in the most recent.
He's 27 years old. He's Argentine. He came from River Plate. This is a player who's going to score you goals. When you see Brian Fernandez come into the league and set the league on fire with his ability to score goals, now your teams are going to look at Liga MX and say, okay, who's doing well, who can score goals? Let's bring him on because we know that he can produce. So that would be the hope and goal, that you add a striker who is just clinical and lethal and can be that predator in the box. You have, Carlos Heel feeding you.
Who's been great, by the way. He's been really good.
Very, very good. I want to say he's among the best midfielders in the league now. That's a clear and evident Carlos Heel. Zahibo's playing so much better. This looks like a guy who is now figuring out how to have success in this league.
An all-star?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Looking like an all-star.
Yeah,
He's playing like that. Caicedo, understanding, just stand in front of the center backs. Be like a Chara. Just play like Chara. If you can play like Chara because you have that ability, you have the skill set to be like a Chara, you will be phenomenal in this league. Bruce Arena has these guys believing not only playoffs, we can make a run, especially if we get these key additions in the transfer window, which they're doing. But 7 games unbeaten, this is a team that you have to look out for. They're tied for that last spot right now in the Eastern Conference for the playoff spot. I really like where they're going, and this is a team you have to start believing in.
Can I ask, do you worry, though, that this is a team that can believe right now? Mm-hmm. Boo is 29 years old. $5 million, you're not consistently maybe getting investment like that. Are you worried that that's a short-term signing to win now rather than Bruce Arena? Let's
29's not ancient, right? 29 is you get 3-4 years out of a guy.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping
but no
for.
sell-on value.
That's fine.
You think they're looking for a sell-on? No.
I'm just saying other MLS teams that are trying to set themselves up for 10 years, let's say LAFC, Atlanta, that's what they're doing. And I'm okay with saying, no, you just need to win now to reset. But my worry is Bruce Arena's he's not going to be there for 10 years, right? Like, that's not
right.
his.
So,
but if
5 years, if you have a 5-year plan,
yeah,
right? Bringing in a 29-year-old who's going to score you goals and maybe get you over the hump. And I think he knows in his mind what position you need to get the most out of to win an MLS Cup. So if in his mind, if he's like, I need a number 9 who's just going to score me goals because I think I have just about all the pieces I need to make a run, except for maybe 2, which he's probably going to address in this transfer window as well. I think this is the right plan.
Yeah.
All right. Your winner, Doyle. Then we'll get to the mailbag.
Minnesota United by far. They
just had, Mason Toye, let's go.
They had the best week in their club's history. They went into the Gold Cup break losing 3 straight, looking like they were going to drop out of the playoff race. They came out of it. They crushed Cincinnati 7-1 last week. Huge win over San Jose on the 3rd midweek at home. And then going to Montreal, rotating the squad, putting in a couple of draft picks. Mason Toye, who I had kind of written off. You saw Mason Toye doing finishing practice in April. He couldn't put the ball in the net.
No, I did. He was basically on a field with it was Carter Mansley and Ohmsberg, and they were literally just crossing the ball across the 6 for him to finish, and he was missing.
And it
was shocking, to be honest with you.
And they go on the road to Montreal. They go down and they fight back, and they win 3-2 in Montreal. And suddenly it's okay. Minnesota is up above, comfortably above the playoff line for now, and they're rolling into this U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal.
They are 2 points behind the Sounders, same number of games played. They are 4 points behind L.A. Galaxy, same number of games played. They have a point up on FC Dallas. Dallas have played 1 more game than them. This is not a place that we're used to seeing them. By the way, Mason Toye has 3 goals, 2 assists in about 150 minutes this year.
He has 6 goals in his last 5 games across all competitions.
So congratulations to him.
When you watch that,
yeah, looks good.
I notice he always drifts back shoulder, though. I want to see him make some hard near post Charlie Davies style runs. You got to get in the young man's ear, Charlie.
I got to fly over to Minnesota and have a talk with him.
Mm-hmm.
The striker whisperer.
Some
I
other
like
news.
that.
The other news from this weekend that we are not going to get to here, but is important. Pity Martinez pulled again. This time, Frank DeBoer talking about how he's not doing enough work defensively. Brandon Vasquez filled that hole for Atlanta United. Pity was not. This is a message clearly, as Kalen Carr said on Matchday Central, the honeymoon is over. And then congratulations to Nick Rimando. 500 appearances. Stephen Fry is the closest active MLS goalkeeper in total appearances. I think it's 265. It would take him 7
He's not touching
full
that.
seasons to get to 500. Dax McCarty is the highest active field player, and I think he's right around
Beckerman's.
No, yeah, you're right. 476 for Beckerman.
Yeah.
You're right. But Dax is the one that has the longest career ahead of him. And he's going to take at least 4.5
Bill
seasons.
Hamid is a guy who could maybe get there. He's 28. He's a lockdown starter. He's probably not going to leave DC again, but he would need to start every game until he's 36
Just getting to
years old.
400 would be a huge accomplishment for Bill Hamid or anybody else, because there are only 5 players in Major League Soccer history that have done that. Can you guys name them?
Raimondo, Beckerman, Lorenowitz, Marshall, Kevin Hartman.
Yep, that is the 5. There you go. Well done.
I got you.
All right.
He was rolling. I was like, I'm not gonna step
We'll
in
just
here.
let you
Nope,
have that.
not-
I knew, but I wasn't going to say.
I was going to name
'cause I
all
just,
American goalkeepers, so I would have gotten Kevin Hartman eventually.
Yep. 401-2060 MLS is the hot take hotline. Extra time at MLSsoccer.com is the email. What do we got?
Jake from DC, Doyle said on a few mediums that the hashtag system the center forward role was designed for the U.S. national team fits a hold-up player like Josie Altidore who can drop in, play make a little, although they might not be ready yet. Which American forwards are best suited for the system out of Jesus Ferreira, Abobasi, Novakovic, and Josh Sargent?
Novakovic.
Thank you.
Novakovic.
But anyone
Not
else?
Novakovic.
But anyone else you want to put in there? Who's the next?
So the concern is that there isn't an obvious next one. I think
Abobasi is not. I can rule him out. Just
why?
he would not fit what you need from that number 9 position.
In what sense? Because I actually think he's easily the best hold-up player.
I said that because I know you love him. I don't think he has enough of a presence in the game to come back, to turn, the awareness factor. I think he's more like a Jossie Zardes.
Interesting. So I have a completely different read, but it almost doesn't matter because he's a winger now.
Right.
Portland's using him on the wing. Everything about player development so much is about fit and opportunity, and that's not Abobasi's position. Jesus Ferreira is not a hold-up player at all. He's smaller and not great with his back to goal. Novakovic, just write him off. He didn't even score double-digit goals in the Eredivisie last year, and everybody scores double-digit goals in the Eredivisie. Sargent is the great hope, but Sargent got his opportunity with Werder Bremen last year, looked unfit, played his way out of the game day 18. You got to keep your fingers crossed that he uses this summer well, that he uses preseason well, and that he is able to live up to his potential, because there are a lot of pretty good young forward prospects kicking around MLS, kicking around U.S. soccer. Josh Sargent is the only elite forward prospect. He would be the one to hope for. It didn't look great for him in 2019, though.
Kevin C. wants to take it to the wing. He said around the 70th minute of the final, we had lost the game. We had no way back into it, and my mind wandered to snippets of the yonder days of Landon Donovan. And in the prime Landon Donovan, the missing attacking winger we need to make the Berhalter system sing. You assume Josie center forward, Pulisic plays as that attacking midfielder. We've got McKennie and Bradley in the team, or Adams. Imagine replacing Morris or Areola with LD. Who's the pieces on the wing then that you see for the future?
I'm hoping that Pamakal's rise will push Pulisic to the wing. Tim Weah just sold for $10 million to a Champions League team. He's obviously going to fit. Tyler Boyd, I think, will play more minutes. From what I heard, he may have picked up an undisclosed hamstring injury, which is why he didn't play the final 2 games. Those 3 guys, and then I still like Jonathan Lewis as an off-the-bench speed option. Paul Areola is a hard-working CONCACAF type of winger. Uli Yanez has a super high ceiling. He's in Germany, but he might be 3 years away. Does
John Lewis do enough for you in MLS? Because I feel like he doesn't do enough to even warrant a U.S. men's national team call-up in MLS play.
He's only played 1,000 MLS minutes.
Right.
And he has part of the argument, no?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, fit and opportunity. But in those 1,000 MLS minutes, I think he has 6 goals and 6 assists. So anytime you've put him out there in MLS, he's been productive. Does he need to get better? Absolutely. But this is part of where we are as a national team program.
What, daydreaming about Landon Donovan coming back again?
No, I mean, like, if Jonathan Lewis is starting every match and creating goals and scoring goals and looking like he's terrorizing defenders, then I say, yeah, 100%. But he's coming in off the bench in the MLS games.
No, he's starting for Colorado.
Now, but before he even got to Colorado, before that trade even happened, he's getting a look on the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
And he's a substitute in MLS.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't happen.
But were you against the fact that Alan Gordon was a substitute in MLS and he was a substitute for the U.S. national team and that's just his role?
Alan Gordon.
But wasn't that a different time period? Alan Gordon time period was like, we're in qualifying, it's rugged, we need this sort of player at the end of games. Whereas
we need a super sub. That's what this guy does.
So what I heard
isn't his super sub history, and I don't want to argue about this because I don't really care, but isn't Alan Gordon's super sub history quite a bit more impressive than Jonathan Lewis's? And aren't we at a different point where you don't?
And he was a super sub, but he was starting for his club team. No,
Jonathan Lewis has 3 starts for Colorado this year. He's got 9 in his entire career. I mean, I know he hasn't played very much. He's not as young as sometimes we think he is. He's 22.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I like him, but I'm kind of with Charlie in the sense that I want more.
Were we against Keaton Parks getting called up when he was playing for Benfica B?
To the full national team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Right, so were we against Josh Sargent or Tim Weah getting called up last year when they hadn't played professional minutes?
Yeah, because I don't think any of them were ready.
Right.
And so
he's just making sure there's consistency around it.
No, the whole point for me is if you are getting called into the U.S. men's national team, you should be starting for your club team. You should be starting. That's the blunt fact. Now, if you're Christian Pulisic and you're at Chelsea and you're not starting because Willian is unbelievable and you can't get on the field or you can't start because you have world superstars in your position, okay, that's fine. You can make an adjustment.
What if he's not starting because he's lost his form, as happened at Dortmund?
Well, he's the best player on the squad.
So he starts for the U.S.
You're going to bring him in. I mean, if Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey, when he wasn't playing consistent minutes, you're still bringing them in. They're the best.
I mean, let's be honest. There's a difference between Christian Pulisic and Jonathan Lewis, and that's no
for
offense
sure.
to Jonathan
I'm just trying to get Charlie to get to the point where
he's trying to get me in a pretzel.
No, I'm trying to get Charlie to the point where he's saying that Christian Pulisic's name shouldn't be written in pen.
That's a different show. We've already done that show. Let us know what you think about anything we talked about today. We will be back on Thursday. Everybody but me. Deuces, I'm out. Going to Greece. Enjoy yourselves. Dave is going to fearlessly lead this podcast, and hopefully I have a spot when I come back. You know, if everybody starts playing well, and
it's just the roster doesn't fit your skills.
If you got superstars in front of you, and you're not able to get into the rotation,
you got to make sure you get
still
minutes.
Get called up to extra time.
You need to make sure you get minutes in Europe.
That's a good point.
None of this is a gift.
Got you. I will make sure that I do that. We'll be back on Thursday, or at least these guys will. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy your week, everybody.